lesson. I need a reader. Alana, I know you're going to volunteer, but maybe Alana can choose the reader. She's always first to volunteer. Turn your math textbooks to page, let's see, this lesson that we already started this lesson. It was 4.7, and it's a 2-day lesson. It is a 2-day lesson on real-world problems, multiplying, dividing with fractions at page 200.
It's page 200.
Can you guys guess? Hang on a second, hands down. Can you turn to a neighbor and guess, why do you think we would spend 2 days on lesson 4.7? Real-world problems, multiplying, dividing with fractions. Turn and talk. Why do you think we would spend 2 days, not just one?
It could be a
All right, I want to hear from you. Keep in mind, raise your hand and tell me either something that you said to your neighbor, or feel free, without naming anyone, you could say something that your neighbor said to you that you thought sounded like something clever. Why would we spend 2 whole days on 4.7? What are your thoughts regarding that? Krishna? Because it's trying something new and difficult. Remik?
Because it's kind of challenging, and there might be like one part is one thing, and then you have just some amount of time to do it,
Yeah.
and then there's a whole other kind of part that you also have to do, but you don't have enough time.
So maybe you learned half of this idea one day, and then the other half, like the extension on it, the next day?
Yeah, like maybe you didn't have enough time.
Maybe you didn't have enough time. Maybe 1 hour and 15 minutes was not enough to get. Yeah, no, that's a great theory. What do you think, Natan?
Because it's like Remik said, it's challenging, and you can learn like new things and faster ways to do stuff.
In more efficient ways, right? The word efficient comes up a lot in math, right? And if you hear something that sounds like, yeah, that's exactly what the words that I was going to say, let me know, and then I can see, yes, that was exactly your thinking. Millard, what do you think?
It might be confusing.
It might be confusing. We got words like confusing, challenging, takes 2 days, didn't have enough time. It causes confusion. These word problems, I won't say. I want to hear more. Hanan. Takes more time because some people are not understanding it as far as we go. Fikr. It might help you in the future. That's so beautiful. Hold on a second. It might help you in the future. Jordy?
Kind of what Remik said, except maybe the thing in one day is not be too much for everybody to like keep in their mind or do the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
No, both of them at the same time.
And you were in the other math group. Sometimes we switch to a different method, and I've been doing like Go Noodle in the middle of that because I'm like, okay, now we're going to do method number 2 or method number 3. Sometimes they're teaching us 3 methods in one lesson, and that's a lot to switch to. Trudy?
So you can get it, and like, so you can get it really well, kind of like what Fikr said.
Yeah.
You might even use it in the future, or like, you might always think that you use it.
Alana?
It's like, so you know what is like multiplication and what's division depending on the words in the problem.
Yeah, I have to say yes to all of the things that you're saying. You have a little more, Natan?
It's also like a chance to be helpful to people who do it.
Yeah, some of you that first day were like, oh, I totally get this. And you were able to help each other. What did I tell? Does anybody remember what I was saying about teaching someone else? Do you remember what I said about that? Like, it's not like, oh, there's Mrs. Moss just shoving her work off on all the students. Hey, you go help that guy, and you go help that person. What did I say about teaching something to someone else? Max?
Like the person or the kid who's teaching it actually gets like or like gets stuff out of it.
Yeah, the kid who is teaching gets stuff out of it. More on that, Trudy.
To teach it, you need to be able to like, know it really well, like teaching at the highest level of knowing.
Yes, it's the highest level of knowing something. Jordy.
To master it, to teach it, like, to know it completely and not to like forget some steps.
Totally, to know it that well that you can show someone else. Abdi.
That way you can teach other people.
Yes, being able to teach other people is amazing. And you get stuff out of it yourself by teaching others, right? It solidifies your understanding. Fikr.
When you teach somebody, when you help them learn and give them you're proud of yourself because you help somebody.
And then you're proud of yourself because you help somebody else understand it. That's another piece to that I maybe didn't mention about how you guys talk to one another. Miller. So you're saying it's connected to your memory, being able to remember it later. Remik and then Natan.
Kind of about what Miller said. So it's kind of like when you teach it to someone else, that person, if you get it right, gets it, and you get a better image of it, so you remember it that way. Like it's kind of like if you have this trick that you learn, and then you teach it to someone else, and then from that teaching, it's also teaching your brain also how to do it.
Yes. Natan?
There's something else, like when you're helping someone, you might be saying and learning stuff that you never knew you knew.
Yeah. You just by saying it to the other person, you're like, hey, I kind of knew that. The other piece that I don't know if I mentioned is that when Ruby explains to someone else how to do something, it sounds different than the way that I say it. She might say it in a way that another person would understand better. I wish I could get 8 teachers up here to do it in different ways, and you'd learn that many different, I guess, the words are different. It's different when you guys talk to one another than when I talk to you. Jordy.
Also, like kind of what you're saying, but when kids talk to each other, it's easier to like understand you, like looking at them the same as your friend or something that
Well,
you
totally.
listen to.
Right.
And like make sure that you're listening to
Because
them.
you're like, oh man, this is Moss all day long. I gotta listen. Can somebody, Alana, I gotta move forward. We could talk about this all day. This is fantastic. Alana, when you choose someone to read our objective for today, what is the objective? It's kind of part 2, but I'm gonna write it on the board again anyway. Our lesson objective.
Solve real world problems involving multiplication and division of fractions and whole numbers.
Involving multiplication and division of fractions and whole numbers. So part 2, we discussed this. We broke this whole thing down. And I think you're pretty clear. We know what fractions are, whole numbers. Whole numbers, geez, that's a lot to write. We're going to multiply and divide fractions and whole numbers today. We're going to do part 2, so let's move forward.
First part 2.
Let's see. Hello, Helen. What would you like?
I need Ruby and Kate.
Who?
Ruby and Kate.
Oh, instrumental? Let's see. So let's turn your books to page 206. 206. And I need a reader. Starting off with Jeff Buys.